The legend of the Fountain of Youth is one that has captivated explorers, dreamers, and adventurers for centuries. A mystical spring said to grant eternal life to anyone who drinks from it. But what's the real story behind this elusive fountain? Was it ever found? And what makes this legend so powerful that it still persists today? The origins of the Fountain of Youth can be traced back to ancient civilizations. The idea of rejuvenation and immortality is an ancient one, with cultures around the world speaking of springs, fountains, or elixirs capable of granting eternal youth. The Greeks had their own versions. The gods of Olympus were said to drink from fountains or rivers that kept them eternally youthful. These mythical places were often hidden from mortals, reserved only for the gods, reinforcing the idea that immortality was an exclusive privilege. The Hindu scriptures mention a similar concept of Amrita, an elixir of immortality that the gods consumed to stay youthful and powerful. In many ancient traditions, the idea of immortality was tied to divine or supernatural forces, be it gods, spirits, or sacred rituals. But it wasn't until the 16th century that the myth of the Fountain of Youth truly entered the Western imagination. It was in 1513 that the Spanish explorer Ponce de Leon, a veteran of several expeditions, landed on the shores of what is now Florida. He was in search of wealth, new lands to claim for Spain, and possibly a cure for aging. But most importantly, he had heard rumors of a mystical spring that could rejuvenate those who bathed in or drank from it. This fountain was rumored to exist somewhere in the New World, and Ponce de Leon, ever the adventurer, was determined to find it. Ponce de Leon was no stranger to exploration. He had already established a reputation for his military and leadership skills, having served under Christopher Columbus. But his desire to find the Fountain of Youth came from a combination of curiosity, ambition, and possibly the promise of eternal life. At the time, Europe was experiencing a fascination with the unknown, with stories of magical places and legendary treasures abounding. On his quest to find the Fountain of Youth, Ponce de Leon and his crew sailed to Florida's coast. They believed that the Bimini, a mystical island, was where this miraculous water could be found. They even named the area La Florida, Land of Flowers, believing that it was the legendary place. What they didn't know, however, was that the Bimini they were seeking may not have been an island at all, but rather a metaphor for an area rich in healing plants and minerals. In his search, Ponce de Leon explored the eastern coast of Florida, but despite months of searching, he never found the legendary spring. So, did Ponce de Leon fail in his quest? The answer is complicated. While the Fountain of Youth may have remained out of reach, the myth continued to grow, fueled by reports from early explorers and writers. Ponce de Leon himself may have been focused more on finding riches and new lands to claim for Spain, and it's possible that the Fountain of Youth was merely a convenient legend for him to pursue. Some historians argue that the search for the fountain was exaggerated or misinterpreted by later generations. Florida's history with the Fountain of Youth didn't end with Ponce de Leon's failure. In fact, centuries later, people still sought the fabled spring, and Florida became a magnet for adventurers and dreamers. In St. Augustine, Florida, there's a Fountain of Youth archaeological park, which claims to be the site of the legendary spring. It's a popular tourist attraction today, with visitors flocking to it in hopes of drinking from the waters that might restore their youth. But is it truly where Ponce de Leon arrived, or just another attempt to capitalize on the myth? The story of the Fountain of Youth is deeply intertwined with the cultural landscape of Florida, and while it remains a symbol of the search for immortality, its true location remains a mystery. The Fountain of Youth has always been more than just a physical search for a spring or well. It's a symbol of humanity's quest for immortality. The search for the fountain is driven by the universal desire to stay young, to never grow old, and to escape the inevitable decay of the human body. This longing for eternal youth is something that transcends time and geography. The fountain symbolizes that hope, an escape from the inevitability of aging and death. In art, literature, and folklore, youth and beauty have always been celebrated. The Greek myths, Roman statues, Renaissance paintings, and countless other examples show us that humanity has always placed great value on the appearance and vigor of youth. The Fountain of Youth taps into this deep-seated longing for immortality, for eternal vitality. The idea of a magical spring that can reverse aging, even for a moment, represents an escape from time itself, a timeless wish to preserve one's youth forever. While the myth itself may be rooted in the distant past, the idea of the fountain of youth is alive and well in modern popular culture. From literature to Hollywood blockbusters, the legend continues to inspire storytellers and creators. In literature, the fountain of youth has appeared in works like The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand and in many fantasy novels. The concept has been woven into countless stories, reflecting the human obsession with seeking eternal life and vitality. The legend has been particularly popular in movies. One of the most famous adaptations of the Fountain of Youth appears in Pirates of the Caribbean. On Stranger Tides, where Captain Jack Sparrow and his crew set out on a perilous journey to find the elusive spring. The film portrays the quest for the fountain as an adventure filled with mystery, danger, and the promise of eternal life. In this version, the Fountain of Youth becomes a magical and highly coveted treasure, as it has become in the minds of adventurers throughout history. The idea has even made its way into video games. In games like Uncharted and Tomb Raider, players embark on missions to find the legendary Fountain of Youth, delving into the heart of mysterious jungles and forgotten tombs. These modern adaptations of the myth keep the legend alive, resonating with people who enjoy the idea of chasing the impossible, of seeking out treasures that are beyond reach. But while the Fountain of Youth continues to live on in our imaginations, the real-world search for immortality continues to evolve. While the myth may not be physically real, science is making strides in understanding the aging process and how it might be slowed or even reversed. Researchers in fields like genetics, biogerontology, and regenerative medicine are working on ways to extend human lifespan and rejuvenate the body. Telomere research, which focuses on the protective caps on chromosomes, is one example of how scientists are investigating ways to delay aging at the cellular level. Genetic editing technologies, like CRISPR, are also being explored as potential tools to combat the effects of aging. While we haven't yet found the equivalent of the Fountain of Youth, scientists are exploring real ways to extend the human lifespan. And who knows? One day, science may provide us with a breakthrough that makes the dream of eternal youth a reality. It may not be in the form of a mystical spring, but perhaps in the form of treatments or therapies that could slow down the aging process and extend our years of health and vitality. Whether real or imagined, the legend of the Fountain of Youth continues to captivate us. It speaks to our desire for more time, for vitality, and for a life free from the constraints of age. The fountain itself may remain elusive, but the quest for youth, both physical and metaphorical, will continue to inspire adventurers, scientists, and dreamers alike. As the search for immortality continues, we may never find a magical spring that grants eternal life. But the myth of the Fountain of Youth reminds us that the desire for youth, for time, and for vitality is a powerful force that drives human exploration, innovation, and imagination. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through history and myth, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Until next time, keep exploring the unknown and come back for another Mystery of Humanity.